Hello everyone, we're back with the Reject Demon Toko, our developer commentary, and once again I'm Solon, hosting us, just a fan and a developer asking all of your questions that have been on my mind for a long time, and with me is the developer of the Reject Demon Toko, Colleen.
Hi. Just make sure I'm just the writer, not... we have more developers than just me.
A developer. Not capital T, the developer, but one of many.
Hey,
many hands,
just
right?
making sure. Yes.
Many hands. Takes a village to raise a baby, and our baby is super gay. Sorry, I'm already distracted. Well, we've already talked about basically a lot of the beginning and how it comes into play, like creating these characters and getting them to kind of flow together. And now we're at the point in the game where we're going to actually start introducing our characters, which means we're going to start getting into inter-character dynamics, which is kind of the meat and potatoes of our interactive fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing that I want to ask today, now that I've had a little bit of time to think about this, is how do I want to say this that makes it not too much? Well, I guess we're going to get to a scene here that is very, very special to everyone who's played this game. And I think you know what scene I'm talking about, Colleen.
I might. I have a few ideas in mind.
Well, we'll see the scene. And so there's a little bit of kind of narrative acrobatics that you've got to do here before we get to that point. Because we know from all of our exposition that's happened here and a lot of the scenes before this, we know who Toko is.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who Nadia is. And so we've got like one hot second to introduce Nadia. And I'm wondering, in what ways did you go about doing that?
How do we introduce Nadia as a character?
Yeah, as not only a character that is important, but one of the main characters, like the main character, because the name of the game is Toko.
Mm-hmm.
And that would imply that Toko's the main character, but she's not in this game. It is very much a two-person story between Nadia and Toko. And so this is like her chance to shine before Toko shows up and attempts to steal the spotlight again.
All right. Well, I think part of it was giving Nadia the introduction, being the first major character introduced after the opening movie and the opening exposition scene. So I think that goes a bit to giving her some character, marking her importance.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, from this you could probably see that it's hard to tell just how important she might be in this, because she's just right now a normal college student. And we don't know too much about her other than what we saw in the prologue bit with her as a kid along with Toko. And so right now we're just kind of showing her not exactly happy with her current situation, which kind of hints at later she gets happier and happier the closer she gets to Toko, even if she doesn't realize that that's the reason for it until she actually sees Toko.
Right, because there's a lot of metaphysical stuff that you have to balance in here too.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of Easter eggs, I guess, is how the narrative works. Like, even this clock doesn't have a 7. Is it? Did you know this?
Yes, I did.
I figure you did.
That was Towson's decision. I don't remember if he had a specific reason for it or not. I might have to ask him.
And then I think you told me that you were trying to tell me that there was some kind of secret in this first line of this first message that you give to the players?
A little bit. There is a reference in the very last clause. Disconnected and unaware is a reference to one of the lines in the song Like Clockwork by Boomtown Rats. And that was mostly just me inserting a rock reference for fun. There's a few other times where this happens, where it's probably not like the most essential thing. Like it doesn't really, if you see it and know it, it probably won't massively improve the story for you, but you might notice and go, oh, cool. But so far, nobody actually told me that they caught that one, which I'm a little disappointed in. But,
That's pretty cool, though, because this game, a lot of this game's theme is, or texture is about rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
And so having rock lyrics in there would only be natural. Like, it's just a good fit, right?
Right. So I was hoping, like, yeah, give it a bit of that feeling, even if nobody actually got the reference, which is fine.
Right.
Like, I don't want to, like, force it, so, like, if you don't get the reference, the story makes no sense, so.
Of course.
Right.
So we get Stephanie coming in here, and she pops in for a split second before going away for, like, 85% of the game. How did that go about?
Well, like, I think I mentioned this last time, Stephanie, in the very, very original version of this, didn't even have a name. She was just a random friend of Nadia's. And then we started expanding her story. And the way the story worked, most of that expansion came in the end. So we have the scene where we give Nadia's friend a name and a sprite, Stephanie. And then we have her show up later when it's appropriate for her to. If we had more time and more energy, we probably could have seen what we could have done to include her more directly into the rest of the story, rather than just kind of like having her suddenly reappear again. But didn't quite work out. Anyway, there was Toko in the brown clothes.
Oh yeah, we kind of glitched the game out a little bit.
Yeah,
it's not in her demon garb.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to note was, like, we see Bellatrix right after with Toko, and Bellatrix almost serves as like a foil to Stephanie, as they're the moral compass for, or lack thereof, if you're Bellatrix, for their specific characters. Stephanie is Nadia's go-to, and Bellatrix is Toko's go-to. I just thought that in this kind of scene, how it sets up right here is a really good mirror.
Fun fact, when we were originally writing this story, Bellatrix is actually going to be Toko's mother, and we were going to have that be a big reveal later. We have decided to change that, and we will see Toko's actual official mother later in the story.
Whoa, okay. So there is actually, like, a different mother involved and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so we will be learning more about Bellatrix too. But just to let you know a bit of the thing, Toko and Bellatrix's relationship, when we wrote this, we were planning on it being a mother-daughter relationship, even if Toko wasn't aware of it. And we actually changed it after this game came out. So there are some things that are that the original mother-daughter idea are influencing that is no longer correct. But you'll see, we did work out something else for Bellatrix, so it's not too weird.
Oh, okay. So some of the, like, parts of dialogue between Bellatrix and Toko could assert that there's a tighter relationship there, like a more maternal relationship, but it doesn't, it doesn't affect the textual reading of it that much.
Right.
Interesting. Huh. That's interesting how the revising goes into a game like this, which just involves so many pieces that are textual in nature that you make one change somewhere and then suddenly you have to unravel the entire mess of, like, tangled mess of lights that you've put together up to this point.
Yeah. Here's for this part, one of the things I've really tried to do, and I'm not sure how well it really comes across in a visual novel, is that I tried to make it feel like they were both Nadia and Toko were speeding up.
That they were ready to collide within the text. No, I think that actually how this works between the back and forth, because of you get what, like I think 2 transitions that each have their own backgrounds before it starts. It basically looks like they're moving, is what it is. Even though Nadia is literally standing still, the switching between the characters and the backgrounds and how it just kind of pops back and forth. No, I think you accomplished that very well.
Yeah. The other thing is that the transitions happen faster and faster too.
Yeah.
So it's something that I hope that like really came off, and I'm glad you think so.
I think it does, and I think you sell it at this point where the background doesn't change, but the characters do. And you're like, oh no, oh no, Toko's actually in the real world. There are actual consequences to what Toko could do at this point. She could do some actual damage to people now. So some more metaphysical talking, but this is, I think we're about right there.
Yep.
Here's everyone's favorite scene. I've seen it in probably 4 or 5 different Let's Plays, just their thumbnails.
Yes.
For this.
I believe this is also, at least when we first launched the game, this is the background that our producers set for the Steam page.
Yep.
So I don't remember if that's still the case, but yeah.
So I want to talk about all of this a whole lot, because I think this was a large drive for the design of the game, right? Or at least the design of the story.
You could say that.
not literally this, but like there's a lot of, this picture says a lot. It's a very loud picture. But it's, what's the right way to say this? Like, it's PG-13. It's not rated R. It is definitely not PG. But you're the writer of this game. You create the fiction of this universe, and the rest of everyone you work with helps put this together, especially this picture. Obviously, you didn't draw this picture, but yeah, what is the decision on making your entire universe be PG-13 as opposed to anything else?
This was a while ago, and we've always had this kind of like back and forth and a bit of worry, like, are we overdoing this kind of eroticism? Are we underdoing it? And stuff like that. And I honestly don't know. Like, there is just like so many issues here, and like it's not. Yeah.
There's issues here. Sorry, let me break down some of the main parts. Everything going on up this way is pretty tame, I would say, but very dense. She's looking back at the camera like they have been caught. Something has bad happened. Toko has no concept of human bodies in that sort of way, and has literally no idea what's going on. And Nadia is pretty like cloudy headed. What's the word? Like doesn't know what is going on around her.
Kinda.
This whole area just says like a lot about these two characters and their relationship. And then all the rest down here, maybe let's just cut this in thirds.
All right.
This is fan service.
Yes.
Hardcore, love it, leave it, take it however you want it. And then bottom third, the intertwined legs, the colors, the shoes. This is Yuri. This is this is the third part of everything, is that this is about two women having a relationship, and that's what this looks like.
Something to keep in mind here. It's not revealed until the Devon fight. But Nadia does remember Toko and recognizes Toko immediately.
Yes.
So like, even though she's not consciously putting her legs like that.
Yeah, she's wrapping them, right.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like she is the one wrapping her legs around Toko, so
Yeah.
she has definitely like noticed that. And yeah, Toko's reaction is her dealing with her sudden feeling of like actual emotion, because she just kind of had like this anger as default thing, and
Yep.
that she isn't sure what to do with anything now, and she isn't quite noticing it yet. Like her subconscious is acting on its own.
Right. And like, yeah, no, this picture really does embody a lot about the awkwardness of bodies. And both Nadia and Toko have their own kind of like constant struggle with having a body in a lot of ways. Toko definitely because she's a demon and doesn't necessarily have that kind of physical form all the time. But Nadia also because she doesn't involve herself with other people often. Or at least not. What am I trying to say here? I feel like there's something about Nadia where basically it's just there's awkward bodies, and I think that makes something special there where you have like the head and the heart and the, I don't know, I guess just sexuality.
Yeah.
All these parts are present in this picture.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what pushes forth through the rest of the game. I think if you read this straightforward, this is like the 15-minute mark.
Mm-hmm.
Which, when you're pacing any kind of media, the 15-minute mark is the hook 'em or sink 'em moment. That's why Let's Plays are usually about 15 minutes long. Because that's where you can leave a cliffhanger, right?
Yeah.
And that's we're hanging on a cliff right here, is what I'd be saying. Yeah, so why not go farther with the Reject Demon Toko and make it more explicit?